In ancient times, the world was ruled by gods.
This ancient art depicts the Chimera with wings, but actual ancient Greek art didn't depict it that way. It was part lion, part goat, and part snake. Where do you get wings from that?
But it was the half-god Perseus, my son, who defeated the Kraken and saved humanity.
Yeah, that still wasn't the Kraken! Also, he saved one woman, not exactly all of humanity.
For his courage, I offered him a place to rule at my side.
No, you didn't.
Even when fate took his wife.
Io didn't really die in Greek mythology. Some Greeks actually believe that after she moved to Egypt, she eventually became the Egyptian goddess Isis. Yeah, don't ask, I have no idea why they thought that.
Where'd you get that?
Made it myself.
You made it yourself?
Perseus has a son in this movie named Helios, which actually was the name of one of his kids in the myths. But he also had 8 other kids named Persis, Alcaeus, Mestor, Sthenelius, Electrion, Sinurus, Gorgophone, and Autochthi. I guess he was trying to beat his dad's record or something.
I want to be a good god and do good things.
There's no such thing as good gods.
Why does Helios think he's gonna be a god? Neither of his parents were gods. At best, he's got about a quarter of god DNA, and that's not sufficient in Greek myth unless you are ascended by the gods themselves. Also, what do you mean there are no good gods? Are you unaware that Hestia is Bestia?
I visit him sometimes in his dreams.
Zeus is not a god of dreams. Those would be Morpheus, Phobator, and Phantasis. I can't assume they're helping him here, since they don't do anything during the many times he needs help throughout this film.
The humans may have stopped praying to us,
With good reason.
but there are consequences. Without prayer, we gods lose our power. When our power leaves us, all our work comes undone. All of it.
That's an interesting concept, but it also creates several plot holes in mythology. Like, how did any of the gods exist before humans did? How did the primordials? How are the Titans still alive when nobody's prayed to them in centuries? Does the power of the Titans come from a different place than the gods, even though they're all related? What about the many minor gods who hardly anyone knows about? If all your work comes undone, wouldn't humans cease to exist as well since the gods created them? What happens if the gods pray to each other? What happens if humans pray to each other? How long am I going to keep this bit going?
The walls of Tartarus are falling.
Tartarus doesn't have walls. Tartarus is the deepest pit in the underworld. Also, this movie seems to be suggesting that Tartarus was created by the Olympians, which isn't true. Tartarus is a sentient primordial who was around long before Zeus was.
It is emptying all its demons onto the earth. The first are already here.
There are no demons in Greek mythology. There are daemons, but those are not monsters. They are spirits and personifications of various concepts, like fear and longing and punishment.
What am I meant to do? This is business for gods.
We need all our children now. Perhaps together we can remedy this. But we need every shred of power, Perseus.
The gods actually did join forces with their children to fight a war at one point, but it wasn't a war with Kronos. It was the war with Gaia's giants, known as the Gigantomachy. There aren't really any stories in mythology of the Titans escaping Tartarus, despite how common of a theme that is in media. For anyone wondering, pretty much the entire plot of this film is original. Unlike the previous film, it's not retelling a specific Greek story.
Mother Hades! We've come to your domain. As agreed, show yourself to us.
Why is the Biden of Hades producing electricity? That's not a trait associated with it. And now both Zeus and Poseidon are shooting lightning. Does everyone have lightning powers now? Ares is most known for wielding a large sword, but he doesn't have one here. Also, Ares never turned on his father. several chimeras pop out of Tartarus here, despite the fact that there was only ever one chimera in Greek mythology, and it was never in Tartarus. What exactly are these two heads supposed to be? Because they sure don't look like a lion and a goat to me.
What are you waiting for? Burn me!
The chimera was slain by Bellerophon, not Perseus.
This is the Mount of Idols, the closest place to the heavens. It's a place where people come to worship the gods. Or at least they used to come.
Well, maybe they don't come anymore because this place doesn't exist in reality or mythology. Hades did not have any six-armed minions. The only six-armed beings in Greek mythology are the Gigones, which reside on an island and not in the underworld.
How do I do it? I'm only half a god.
Then you must find another half god. Agenor. He's my son.
What is this for?
It's to cut the oars for my trireme. I need 170 oars for the 3 rows, 1 oar firm.
This looks like a peck.
It is, however, the rudder for my flagship.
This is Agenor. He's a liar and a thief.
Poseidon did have a son named Agenor. However, he wasn't a liar and a thief. He was born into royalty in Memphis, Egypt, and went on to rule Phoenicia.
Take this. Use it. And if my son survives and proves worthy, give it to him.
My father sent you. I want nothing to do with you.
Your father's dead.
Poseidon straight up dies in this movie, despite being in several stories that take place after the tale of Perseus. Like, how is the Odyssey gonna happen now?
Gods don't die.
I do now.
Good. Could you do me a favor?
Anything?
Go to hell.
You know, I highly doubt anyone ever said go to hell in ancient Greece.
Who is the fallen one? Oh, the god, Hephaestus.
And who's Hephaestus?
How in the 7 hells does a Greek queen not know who Hephaestus is?
Hephaestus was the god that made Poseidon's trident, and Hades' pitchfork, and Zeus' thunderbolt.
No, no, and no. All 3 of those weapons were created by the Elder Cyclopes. There are some tales suggesting that the Telkines built the trident, but either way it wasn't Hephaestus. Hephaestus does build basic lightning bolts for Zeus, but not his master one.
Put those together, it formed the Spear of Trium, the weapon the gods used to defeat Kronos.
Okay, now you're just making stuff up. The weapons do not fuse together like Voltron. There is no Spear of Trium in mythology.
But Hephaestus lives on the island of Chaos.
Which no one has ever found. Hell doesn't exist. Does it, Agenor?
Indeed it doesn't. There is no such island in any story, and Hephaestus lives on Olympus.
Is it gone?
Not sure why the Cyclops gave up here. I mean, he clearly saw nobody, and a Cyclops typically gets pretty angry when encountering nobody.
Done. What was that for? Belifando to Poseidon. Natase. Natase.
That actually makes a ton of sense, considering most Cyclopes are descended from Poseidon. Nice touch.
You forged these weapons right here for the gods. You must be able to help us.
Shut it! How could I when I've no godly power anymore?
Who's he talking to?
Don't you walk away from me. His all-powerful father took it away from me when I sided with Hades in the little family argument. Yes, I know now it was a mistake. People forget.
Hephaestus is insane in this movie. In the myths, he wasn't insane, but he was crippled and deformed. Kind of weird they didn't give him those negative attributes, but instead created a new one. He's also supposed to have automatons in his workshop, helping him move around and such.
If Zeus is captive in the underworld, he's likely being held in the heart of Tartarus.
How do we get to him?
We can't.
Normally, may be right, young man, but when I designed this marvel, I included a secret passage. A shortcut, if you will.
You designed Tartarus.
Oh, aye. And built it.
No, he didn't. Tartarus is not a mechanical structure, it's an ancient living location, as I mentioned earlier.
In order for the prison of Tartarus to be completely impregnable, I built it from the outside in. So I had to leave a passage for myself to get out when the work was done. And this labyrinth is the only way a human can travel through the underworld and get to the heart of Tartarus.
The labyrinth was not built by Hephaestus and is not within Tartarus. It was built by a human named Daedalus as a prison for the Minotaur in the land of Crete. You know, there are tons of amazing things Hephaestus created in Greek myth, and yet literally everything they credit him for in this film is an incorrect example. What's up with that?
What's that all about?
Is there no end to this?
I'm afraid, brother. Is that what you want me to say? I'm a god, and I'm afraid.
Well, you should be.
When your precious humans die, at least their souls go to another place. When a god dies, it isn't death. It's just absence.
How can you possibly know that, though? No gods have ever died before the events of this film. If they have, that's another inaccuracy.
I've got to give them more time.
Hephaestus' weapon of choice was a hammer, not a staff.
Harry! Oh, is that all you've got, you sniveling dog? Get to the door!
And now Hephaestus dies despite being involved in several stories long after the tale of Perseus. How exactly are those stories going to play out now? Are Achilles and Diomedes just not going to have armor during the Trojan War? Is Heracles just going to be unable to defeat the Stymphalian birds without his noisemaker? A lot of people are pretty screwed.
What do you think we should do, Daddy?
Nothing. You're a screwed, Granny.
Considering Theseus was able to backtrack his way through most of the labyrinth using a literal ball of yarn, I highly doubt the maze was this gigantic and insanely convoluted.
It's cold in here, isn't it?
The labyrinth did not project delusions of loved ones. What's up with this warped human-looking face on the Minotaur? The Minotaur has a bull face. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that.
Why are you doing this? Please stop.
The Minotaur was slain by Theseus, not Perseus. Also, there are many mythical monsters who can imitate human voices, but the Minotaur is not one of them.
I will lead the infantry myself. And our job is to hold Kronos back for as long as possible, if we're to stand a chance.
Andromeda was never really a warrior in the myths. She was pretty much the standard damsel in distress. Apparently, these creatures are the Makai, which are spirits of battle. Their appearance isn't really specified, and they do appear in times of warring conflicts, so no problems here, honestly.
Death was circling you. That was the last time I'll have the strength to chase it away.
Are you referring to Thanatos? 'Cause he works for you, you know? You could just tell him to leave rather than chasing him away. Also, why are you calling him it? That's just rude. I see what appears to be red blood coming out of Ares' face here, despite the fact that the deities in Greek mythology are supposed to have golden ichor running through their veins. And now we've got Ares dying despite being in several stories after this. Who is Diomedes supposed to beat up now? Kronos breaks out of Tartarus here, and I gotta ask, where the heck are the Hecatoncheires who are supposed to be guarding it? There's been no sign of them this whole movie, and it's causing a heck of a lot of problems. Heck. Kronos is not gigantic, and neither are the other Titans. They are the same size as the gods and humans, as evidenced by multiple stories of them interacting with gods and humans. This size is a common misconception which resulted from people confusing the Titanomachy with the Gigantomachy. And speaking of the other Titans, where are they? If Kronos broke out of Tartarus, shouldn't the others have as well? Does this movie not know that there are several other Titans in Tartarus?
First strike my brother!
Zeus actually doesn't have the power to summon lightning in Greek mythology. He uses lightning a lot, but it either comes from his master bolt, which Perseus has right now, or lightning bolts made by Hephaestus, which we know isn't the case here because this movie has Hephaestus as an outcast from Olympus. So, I guess Perseus kills Kronos here. Not sure how, though. Like, is he immortal or not? If he is, then how does he die here? If he isn't, then how is he still alive in Tartarus all this time?
He's waiting for you. Before he goes.
There will be no more sacrifices. No more gods.
This movie basically ends with all the gods being either dead or depowered, which is really weird because it's not like the tale of Perseus is at the end of Greek mythology, it's not even close. It happens before the stories of Heracles, Theseus, Bellerophon, Jason and the Argonauts, Daedalus and Icarus, the Trojan War, the Odyssey, the Telegony, the Aeneid, the Gigantomachy, and tons of other stuff. Is this just a universe where none of that happens? Man, way to suck 90% of the awesomeness out of Greek legends. Well, they did actually have a Titan this time. But only one, so not sure why Titans is plural here. Hi, thanks for watching, and thanks so much to all the generous people on Patreon who help make these videos possible. People like Lilith Jade Vaughn, Gilda Ramos, Double Ditto, Aiden Rudder, Gavin Lothar, Interesting Name, Matthew Owen, Miyaka041, Shadow Slaughter, Adam Whaley, Anthony Miano, Gwyn016, Justin Pruett, X Arcade, Zaggard, Zach Horgan, AC Stevens08, Airtank58, Alex, Average Brexit Geezer, Kane Kendrick, CJ the Boy, Damian Fireheart, Dominic Fournier Bessner, Dubious, Feel the Wrath, Habalon, James H., Jeff Jeffington, Jeremy Sunday, Cade, Carrie692, Kevin, Lassie Ehrenreich, Marco Gonzalez, Maria Potter, Nathaniel Frey, Quick to Adjust, Ricky Neboe, Saint Wolfman, The Jesus, and Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. Thank you guys so much, I really do appreciate it, and if you want to become a Patreon supporter, which gets you access to videos while their claims clear on YouTube, gets your name in the credits here, gets you access to message me directly and have your questions prioritized in live Q&As, consider joining up, but even if you don't, you support the channel just by watching the videos. Thank you.